Alrighty, as requested, let's map out GJ. Alright, GBP JPY, a very popular pair with everyone. Now, GJ, if you are a newbie, complete newbie, try to stay away from GJ because GJ is quite volatile. But if you like the adrenaline rush, if you like the spikes and the drops, but for currencies, GJ is the way to go. Okay, I have a love and hate relationship with this pair because if I get it right, I can hold for close to 200 300 pips. But if I get it wrong, I just keep getting it wrong. It's that volatile. Okay? So, looking at it from the monthly perspective, I can see where the current price is at, which has not been in this price area since around 2014, 2015. So it's about 7 to 8 years already for it not to be this high up. Okay, so if we look at that, we can see that the current price is in this monthly engulfing buy that failed. Okay, not only that, it's also tapping into this engulfing sell. So from the monthly perspective, we can try to catch a very strong sell for GJ. But from where? Okay, that is the problem. But from where? Now, if I go even to a smaller time frame, right? Let's take a time frame by time frame. On the weekly perspective, the current price is here. So you can see that the current price on the weekly time frame, it is testing this engulfing buy that failed, right? This engulfing buy that failed. So on the weekly perspective, still a sell potential is still there. We switch down to daily to see. On the daily perspective, same thing. It is testing this engulfing buy that was our support before breaking, and you can see as the support breaks, it becomes a resistance, right? So you can kind of see the movement. It was a support before, and we can use this engulfing buy if we drag it out. So we have data that this is supporting it, and engulfing buy meets a buy before breaking. So now that it's testing this buy fail, the daily perspective also has a sell potential. Okay, also has a sell potential. So now what do we do? Because on the daily perspective, you can see that the previous dailies really pushed the price up very, very high, all the way up top. Okay, all the way up top. Now, if I were to map out my daily, just let me use, let me use my colors real quick so we know what to do. Alright, on the daily perspective. Now, we cannot get data from 2014, 2015. That is too far off. Okay, too far off. But on the daily perspective, we know that the daily candle cannot close above 183.366 because once it crosses that, the price could shoot up even higher to test this area over here, which was a buy fail with a lot of engulfing sells. Okay, so this would be the next zone. But for now, it cannot break this 183.366. Okay, so if we go down to H4, you can see the price has already entered our daily time frame. Okay, so what can we do on H4? On H4, the first buy, right? We have to map out the closest buy and the closest sell, just to monitor where it can test. So the buy that I have is from this push, right? This push. This was the last push before price testing this resistance and dropping. So that's why I want it to be a buy zone that I will monitor. For the sell, I want it to be this because this is the highest point, right? But mind you, on H4, we also have this engulfing buy that failed. Okay, so now that we see the H4 is slowly creating different setups all together, this gives us a chance to find a potential sell down as aligned with the higher time frames, being daily, weekly, and monthly, right? Because every zone that it's in is, or it has a sell potential. All of them have a sell potential. So we look for our sells. So we have a top sell over here and another sell over here in cases where it doesn't reach the highest points. All right. So now what do? Now we have our buy zone down here and our sell zone up here. The reason I'm not using this is because this was from the push down low and it did not test this yet. But this push was not strong enough and now it's retracing back. But this was the push that pushed up to the resistance, and you can see it, multiple wicks with engulfing sell meets an engulfing sell. So I want this to be my buy instead of this. This is much, much stronger than this. All right. So now current price is over here. What do I do next? I go down to M15 to try to find my key levels. And like I said, I have to look at the zone and try to find an area where it plays with support and resistance. The price has to bounce like support and resistance. So you can see like this, it has to bounce. If it breaks below, it uses it as resistance. It breaks, uses at sorry, what is wrong with my English today? Anyway, it will use it as a support. Okay, this is definitely a tongue twister. So you can kind of see the area where it plays. Next, you just try to find, let me change colors, try to find an engulfing that represents that area, right? Which I will be using, and I will show you this. Okay, I will be using this engulfing cell. This engulfing cell, because it's the first engulfing that I can see, represents that area. Support, broke through, became resistance, broke through, became support. All right, so now I have my key level for the buy. Now we look for the key level for the sell. Again, support and resistance. Support and resistance. I see support, resistance. So it should be around here, right? It should be around here. What do? I find an engulfing, again, to take as reference for my key level. Oops. Very shaky again. There we go. So, highest key level for a sell from the engulfing sell made to sell is up here. Then we have our engulfing fail over here that we can also try. Again, support and resistance, which I can see there's resistance here, support here, resistance here, resistance. So it should be around here, right? Around here. But on M15, if I were to find an engulfing over here, this would be too big. So what do? I go to M5. Try to find an engulfing that represents this area. Okay? Again, support, resistance. There's resistance here, sorry. Support, resistance. So I want something that represents that. Okay, so now if I were to draw it out, I will be using an engulfing buy to represent my key level for the engulfing fail on H4. Like this. This was the engulfing buy that I am using. Okay, an engulfing buy. Now, what do? After that I have all of my key levels, just go ahead and mark it on the same charts as yours. Okay, the blue line, this is the start of the daily zone. So what do? I wait for the price to come back into my key levels before I decide anything. Okay, if it comes back over here and H4 and there are no sell setups over here, or if there are any and it breaks, then I know it might want to test a higher zone, which would be this key level, and this will be my last line of defense before H4 breaking above. Okay, so what happens after this? I go into the smaller time frame to find a zone that I can monitor for any potential entries. Okay, I will map it out first. And you can copy me, and if you want to enter on GJ, you may. Alright? I will not be entering GJ or any pairs because I have a trade running for EA. After it breaking my engulfing sell yesterday, it has come down to test the key level for a buy, like I told you. So I have a trade running on EA, so I will not be able to press anything else other than wait for it to hit TP or my break even. Okay, so on M15, I have this up top, which is an engulfing buy that failed in the process, or not in the process, sorry. But after failing, it just came back, dropped, tested once, twice, still nothing until our first engulfing. So we still need the second engulfing, right, to complete the ABC. So that's a potential for this key level. It's just right up top. So you might see it close within, and still it will need that push from that key level to bring it back down. Okay, but let me just adjust because there we go. Oops. Okay, I want to mark it precisely. So it's taking the top of the key level. Okay, now I try to find a zone over here in the 15 for me to monitor that's happening in or around the key level, and I have this. Okay, an engulfing buy that failed. Price has yet to create any engulfing sells except for this. After it came back, first one closed within. You can see that mini close in the zone before creating this engulfing sell. So both of the key levels on the sell perspective on H4 still has an M15 EFEG in both of the key levels. So if the price comes in, closes within this zone and creates a sell, then you have confirmation from the sellers that they are trying to push the price down over here, and you can enter as soon as the engulfing sell is made, meaning it comes in, closes within, drops down as the sell candle, closes that M15, and if it closes as an engulfing sell, you may enter on the next candle, the opening of the next candle, right? There will, of course, always be minor float if the volume is not ready to go yet, but even if the volume is ready to go, you would still be floating a little bit from that spread. Okay, so don't worry too much about the float. Worry about trying to get the strategy right, because it doesn't matter if you use the strategy. Of course, no strategy is 100%, but if you follow it and you stick to it, you wait for it to complete its setups, you will win in the long term. Okay, now in cases where the price comes in and M15 decides to close above, breaking this area, whether it has created a sell already and then it broke, you can cut your losses from here. Then you wait for the next area, right? Wait for it to test over here. Now, if you want to get an even more sniper entry, try to find an M5 zone, okay? Try to find an M5 zone. It's even better if it's in the key level, because sometimes price just likes to take either M5 or M15, so you have to keep switching both. But M15, if you can find a setup, will give you a higher pip movement than the M5 setup. Okay? Sometimes when you see M5 and M15 together in the same area, same zone, you just have both confirmation, even better. Alright, so that's it for GJ. Please monitor if you want to enter. Like I said, I cannot enter anything for today because I have, as you can see, I have my buys over here that is running for EA. So I am going to wait for that first. But either way, I already mapped out these for you. just copy and paste it on your charts and see how it goes, right? Just see how it goes, because my key level up here is 181.868 to 181.955. And the lower one is 181.461, 181.541. If you're able to catch a sell from here, wait for the price and it drops down, right? It drops down. You have to monitor. You want H4 to close below this wick to kill the buyers completely before this completing the whole drop, because there is also a chance for it to use this as a bounce up. So if you caught the sell, watch H4, monitor the closing of the H4 to close below this low. Then after that, it's a clean shot down to the engulfing buy over here, and you just monitor. If the price comes down and creates no buy setups, you just hold your trade and look at the next buy and the next buy and the next buy. Okay, but if the price comes in and it decides to create a buy setup, either you can TP everything or set break even in cases of it just doing a quick retrace from the sell before dropping down even lower. So everything comes down to your risk management and just kind of balancing your fear and greed in the market. Okay, so that's it for GJ. Good luck today. Don't rush, because there are two news on CAD and USD, and USD does, although GJ is not a pairing of, it's not a crossing of USD, but the movement, that spike and that drop, that instantaneous movement of volume, high volume, does impact GJ. Okay, from the correlation of things that uses a GBP like GU and all those.